overseas. The banter has been quite wonderful, actually. Tony Edwards, who was executor of the will, along with Julie's husband, and he's a fellow brother from another mother. His husband. Rodney Clark and family, who couldn't be here. The close friend and father of two boys, now young men, that Kev absolutely adored. You may have seen some stories about these two young fellas on the news that did a lot of fundraising and awareness programs from when they were this big to still about orangutans. Absolutely gorgeous kids with the right mindset. It's wonderful. Craig Bennett and Craig Murgy aren't able to be here because they're in Queensland. However, I'll be catching up with Craig in about a week's time and we'll raise a glass or two to Kev down in Melbourne. Glenn Keith Pitney, who was both Steve and Kev's musical cohort. They did lots of music together and had a wonderful time doing that. Tim Webster gave me a call. He's given me several calls, but this morning again to say how upset he is that he can't be here, and he sends love and hugs to everyone that's here, in particular you, Kev, which was lovely. Colin Bruce Durham Court, who's a friend of over 50 years, who's devastated that he can't be here. Damon Conn from Broadcasting School. I did the housekeeping before. I sincerely want to thank the people from the Harbour Hotel. If you're ever looking for a venue, these people are just amazing. And they jumped up when another venue that was close to Kev's heart actually fell through from very bad management. Anyone want to know that? Talk to me personally. Anyway, this evening we share the room with friends from all facets of Kev's life. Family, piano bars, radio, car clubs, with friendships formed over many, many years. On behalf of Kev's family, and in particular Sister Deb and her husband Gary, thank you for your beautiful and comforting messages of love and support. It's genuinely comforting for the family to realise how much Kevin was loved. Isn't that true, Deb? It really did move us. And to be honest, when outpourings first came through on Facebook pages, etc., Deb was taken back at just how much and across how many different lives Kev had affected. His final days were harrowing. However, he stared it in the face and faced it down with the determination of the Somerville we all know. Now, how did I meet the man? This is just my little bit. Well, in 1981, I was friends with Donnie Sutherland of Sounds fame and his flatmate Dave Lazarus. And Dave took me under his wing, as did Donnie, and showed me the nightlife of Sydney, visiting legendary band venues and clubs from the north to the south, to the east to the west. On the first night out, we visited a club in Potts Point. This club became my go-to venue of choice. Why? Because Dave introduced me to the piano player in this club, the Aircrew Club.
Oh yeah.
Even then, Kev was a piano bar superstar and simply fun. I'd sit for hours watching his hands on the keys, mastering skills beyond those of a mere mortal man. He's absolutely amazing. The Aircrew Club was frequented by all walks of life, including alleged hitmen, underworld notaries, celebrities, and funnily enough, I never actually saw any aircrew. And I was there a lot. One night Kev announced to the room that he would play any request, but only if written on a $50 note. I first arrived a minute later. That night Kev made over $700 in tips, and in true Kev style, we celebrated with a sumptuous steak dinner at the Hilton's San Francisco Grill.
Oh yeah.
They were vacuuming around us when we left at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Cafe Brulot.
Yes. We became very close friends immediately. We even saw Liberace together and shared a friendship for many years with the village people. We're just glad there were no iPhones around then. Kev played the bridal waltz at our wedding, was godfather to my daughter, and was the life of the party. I also loved his mum Faye and stepfather Keith, who he has no doubt caught up with recently. Rowan, I didn't ask you about this, my son Rowan. Rowan said to me while Kev was going through a lot of the problems that he had, that the one thing he really appreciated Kevin for in my friendship with Kevin was that it normalised a relationship between everyday people with a gay man. And that really made a mark.
You're saying Kevin was normal?
Anyway, I don't want to waffle on about my 44-year relationship, friendship with Kev. Only to say I miss those heady days we spent together in the later years with his beloved Steve, also one of my closest mates and loved dearly by the Comey clan. Also gone way, way too soon. Kev was something different to everyone, and from their perspective, we're going to hear a few things right now. Kev had 3 friends he called his brothers from another mother. There was me, Tony Edwards, who I mentioned before, who sadly couldn't be here, and Peter West. Pete, please come up.
Thank you for that introduction. However, I didn't prepare anything to say tonight, but I'll give you a brief idea of how all this came about for me. Many years ago, I think it was in the mid-80s, Kevin and his partner at the time, Terry, owned a cafe at North Narrabeen. And I used to live just around the corner, literally around the corner from where this cafe was. And there's a lot of, like, I don't know how to explain this, a lot of these little intricacies that go in and out of how we met, but the brief version is that when we used to go to the cafe, me and a friend of mine, we'd go to the gym and work out. We were only like 18, 20 years old or whatever it was, in the mid-80s. And we'd turn up to the Cafe Plus, it was called. Yeah. I do remember now. And we turn up in our gym clothes, and Kevin and Terry, obviously being gay, we'd walk in after being hot and sweaty at the gym, and we'd get instant service all of a sudden. And it was strange. It was like, what's going on here? Like, why are these guys so interested in serving us and everyone else would go to hell? Like, go away. Anyway, so I was standing outside one day watching traffic go past as I finished my hamburger, and I noticed this car parked out on the street, and it had the number plate piano. And me, being a musician myself, I play guitar and sing in a band and whatever. I said to the guy behind the counter, I said, "What's the go with this number plate piano?" And he says to me, "I'm a musician." And I went, "Well, so am I. Big deal." And he went, "Huh. Well, I've done this and I've done that," and I've gone, "Oh, that's pretty impressive." And then as he explained more and more to me about the things he'd done all over the world and played with Barry Manilow, Manhattan Transfer, Billy Joel,
Van Halen. Yeah, there's a photo.
No.
I'll show you later.
No, okay. Well, and he knew John Bon Jovi and all this sort of stuff, and I'm going, no, this can't be right. And sure enough, as we started to talk over the many days and weeks or whatever, me going to the cafe with my mate, we became incredibly close musically. And that's where it all started for me. And Kevin as Steve just said, he classified me as one of his brothers, and from that early day, and many years on, the amount of admiration I had for him as a musician, particularly, but not only as a musician, but he was the best man at my wedding, and he's also the godfather to my wonderful son Jaden, who's standing here. That's how close he was to me, and I must say I miss him terribly. But what a great guy! Seriously, the amount of things that he did in his life that were just amazing to me, because I wanted to do the things that he had done, and which never amounted to much because I wasn't as good as he was. It was just awesome just to have somebody in his calibre and who could tell the stories and seriously, still one of the best singers I've ever heard anywhere in the world was my best friend. Awesome. Cheers, bud.
I deliberately didn't give Pete any warning because I honestly thought that off the cuff was absolutely perfect. Well done. Yeah, he's my daughter's godfather too. He gets around, doesn't he? Sorry, too soon. Next, I've got David and Deb Rogerson from the Mercedes Car Club of Australia.
Oh yeah.
Now, these guys meant a lot to Kev, and it was, as I mentioned before, Kev meant a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and this room is a very good example of that. So,
Do you want to stand there?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, everyone. Cool. It is amazing how your lives never clash, but somehow you pass so many people in the corridor of that life who have touched you in different ways. And Kevin, and I have to say, Stephen, for both of us, both of them, Stephen, they were extra special people. And I look here, I walked in tonight, here's Burger King. Now, unbeknownst to Kevin until about 5 years ago, I used to record Burger King's Kitchen for radio at 2UW. Little did I know that the author of the King's Kitchen and an insurmountable number of cookbooks was Kevin Somerville.
Oh.
Yeah, Kevin wrote.
Sorry,
He was a cook.
Oh, yes.
I tried.
Oh, mate. Talking about Chicago, yeah, he was great.
Fantastic. Kevin Somerville, friend, many have said, brother from another mother, generous, he's kind, loving. Kevin didn't suffer fools gladly, and as his Facebook profile says, I'm a polymath academic. Now, it took me ages to work out whenever there was some kind of seismic activity in the world, Kevin was looking at it. Even if it was someone trundling upstairs that set a meter off somewhere, Kevin knew what caused it. An author, a pianist, a broadcaster, and I love the photo of him in his hereditary Scottish aristocratic gear. Okay. Very Mardi Gras, he used to say, don't you think that? Very Mardi Gras.
Was he wearing undies?
I don't know at the time, but I didn't hear him listen.
I'm kidding, not.
I first met Kevin around 15 years ago at Ian McRae's radio school in Sydney. Many of you may have grown up listening to Ian on 2SM. Ian and I were, and still are, very good friends, and he apologises for not being able to come along tonight. Kevin wanted to expand his amazing entertainment career into the wonderful world of radio. And I call him a mature age student at that time. And part of our first night together to get to know each other, I would normally go around to the table, or this time it was the students in the studio and the staff would, can you tell me who you are, tell us what you've done, what's your favourite music, why are you here at our radio school? And what was interesting is not once did Kevin mention his amazing music history, not because he didn't want to. He was a very humble man. And until you actually got to know him a little bit better, as I said, Kevin didn't suffer fools lightly, as many of us know. I sat in a coffee shop with Deb one day and he didn't quite get the coffee he wanted in barrel. And well, I think they thought that's who he was. His amazing piano playing abilities, his life history, that to Deb and I, and I'm sure for you, reads like a cross between a gallivanting entertainer who owned classic vehicles. He owned a Rolls Royce, a Bentley, and of course his engagement with many Mercedes vehicles over the years. Troy and I have eaten from that picnic bag there of Kevin's while sitting in the back with lead crystal glasses and eating champagne in his long wheelbase Mercedes. Everyone does that on Sunday. Something Kevin and I have in common, Mercedes fans. Spending time with Kevin was beyond a pleasure for Kevin and I. It was a travel log through time and entertainment that I doubt we'd find too many other Australian media luminaries could ever or will ever, as we can imagine, match. We used to talk about entertainment, which I won't get into because it's not about me, but my uncle was a Buster Noble, the second cousin was Tricia Noble. I had an aunt that performed overseas at Royal Command performances, and Kevin found this fascinating. He wanted to know more about you than he would allow about himself, because he was really interested in people. As we celebrate Kevin's life tonight, consider just a small handful of life experience along the time that Kevin's had. Some of you may know that he has or had a friendship with our current King Charles, John Spaniel, him himself.
Oh, yeah.
Forged during the time that the then Princess, the Prince was at school at Ten Tops in Geelong, and they maintained communication with each other. He was actually due to go to the coronation and couldn't because he was unwell. He was spotted, as many of you know, Steve, if I get this wrong, this is Kevin's story. He was spotted at the Parmelia Hilton in Perth by Sammy Davis Jr.'s music director. And he was playing at the Parmelia Hilton, and Sammy Davis' guy came in and sat back and asked the bartender, "Who's this gentleman?" And they said, "Oh, it's Kevin Sumner, we've got season here, he's always here." He said, "Well, our piano player who normally plays the session tests when we're playing can't play tonight or tomorrow night because he's unwell, and Sammy's not happy about it. I think Kevin would be interested." Yes, he would be interested and interested. And of course, that's the past is history. We had some amazing. Now Kevin is, I'm sure, spiritually with us, and Frank Sinatra is
David,
with us.
that was true.
That's true.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. Kevin went on to play 5 years on and off in Las Vegas with Sammy and Frank. Sammy even gave him a pair of his own shoes. Kevin showed me, I don't know if they're still around. And he also hopped on jet airliners after the Las Vegas shows had finished, and they would fly out to the Jersey Shore from Las Vegas in Frank Sinatra or Burt Bacharach's aeroplane, and they would all go and put money, I'm not sure Kevin did, but across the tables, and then come back to Las Vegas in 2 nights' time. When we were together, we'd always talk about cadences. I'd ask him how good he was at playing Grieg's Piano Concerto, which is one I had to learn to play, and I hated every second of it. We talk about the talents of Burt Bacharach, about today's talents, and he gave me many of an opinion about what Australian Idol was doing, or lack of it, to new talent coming through. And I'll leave that there. Kevin would go on to play, as I said, with Sammy, travelling at night. He had the auspicious wonderment of probably males like myself of being able to sit in a spa bath with Olivia Newton-John and getting caught by her husband who didn't realise Kevin's choice in life. And he also was great friends with people like Helen Reddy, Peter Allen. The list just goes on. My fellow members of the Mercedes Car Club of New South Wales would often have Kevin share his vast knowledge of motor vehicles and his experience in the classic vehicles he owned. But maybe some of us don't know, Kevin actually was a rally sport driver as well.
Yeah, that's right.
He had a couple of Ford Escorts.
Great driver.
And he was extremely good. He loved the whole concepts of motor cars and engines, the brains behind people who could engineer something to just go as fast as it could with him with a seatbelt strapped around him. And of course, with his skills and determination, as I said, he worked for us. I actually hired him when I was group PD for a group, and he did a couple of years on air at 2ST in Nowra. I just guess he had a great teacher in the grades. Just chatting about music and the mentoring I was doing at the Australian Institute of Music, which I still do, just down the road here, always brought a great smile to Kevin's face. And the same, as you said earlier, with Stephen as well. They were into music, and Kevin just wanted to know what's happening with the next batch of people coming through. Who's encouraging them? What are they playing? What are they talking about, David? And even when he was in hospital, I'd go and sit with him, I'd hold his hand, and he wanted to know more about me than he could give about himself. He loved Moose Valley, as he called it. We have a 3-hour music history lesson, and I'd say, Kev, mate, we've got to get this in your book. He'd say, don't worry, David, I'm doing that right now, don't worry. I don't know if that book's eventuated, but what a book. In fact, it's probably a movie in there as well. Lunch with Troy and Deb was also a great time, and catching up with Kevin and Stephen was a truly great pleasure. I'm sure Trevor would say the same thing, David. Anyone here who had time with Kevin, it was just fantastic. We really loved them. And without doubt, Stephen's long-time battle with poor health started to erode and tug at Kevin's emotional life memories of the guy who really was extremely close to him. They truly were amazing partners, and to us, just great friends we could never see enough of. Enough of my speeches. Kevin, I'm sure, is with us, with Stephen, close by. And I bet they're both planning that heavenly Christmas card with a picture of Stephen. My mum saw it on the fridge once and goes, who is this guy? Kevin, we're going to miss you, your family, your friends, and the world in general will miss you. There could only ever have been one Kevin Somerville. And I think I can say on behalf of all of us, we've been so humbled to have him in our lives. Thank you.
I have to interject. I left out a little bit of the story earlier when I said that I met Kevin in 85, 84, 86, something like that. Just to fill in some gaps in that brief story, when I first went to Cafe Plus, where Kevin and his partner at the time, Terry, owned this cafe, and as I go along this little story for a minute or two, you'll start to see how it intertwines. I worked there for a while after meeting him through the music thing, piano on his number plate, and we started talking music, and I started actually working in the cafe. And then I noticed every few days this young lady used to come into the cafe and she'd have lunch there. Her name was Michelle Hopkins. And I used to talk to her and what have you. And then about a month or two into the cafe being open, I used to play in a band, and we used to we played a gig. I won't go into the details. It's a gig with a band called Kakadu, with a guy named Phil Emanuel. Phil Emanuel's brother, Tommy, played in Kevin's band many years before. Anyway, our band, called Fair Warning, supported Kakadu with Phil Emanuel at Somerville Hotel about, say, a month or two after I first seen this young lady come into the cafe. Anyway, that young lady was at the gig that night, and I met her that night, and we spoke and whatever. That was about it. And then a week later, we had a gig at our band, fair warning, at the Burley Shells Hotel in Maria a week later. And I was playing there that night, and I kid you not, this young lady from the cafe in Narrabeen, 400 kilometres away, was at the Burley Shells Hotel in Maria. Yeah. Well, as it turns out, we got together that night. That young lady ended up turning out to be Jaden's mother. And funnily enough, Terry, Kevin's partner, went to school with his mother.
Oh my gosh. Oh, really?
And we met within 2 weeks, and that's how Kevin's little...
It's a web.
It's a web, how it intertwined. Sorry, I should have said all this before, that's why I interjected just now. But his mother and I met within 2 weeks within the Cafe Plus Kevin Somerville thing. I don't know how that works, but how weird is that? And then we turned out being the best of friends, and thanks, Kevin. God save. Yeah. So yeah, thanks, Kevin. So that's all I have to say. Back to you, Steve. Would you like to play number?
Funny thing is, I was actually going to be a partner with Kevin in that cafe.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Which was, non-financial partner, Michelle. I needed somewhere to live at the time, and there was accommodation at the top, and maybe I was going to. Yeah, that's funny. David, thank you for your words. I do remember going and seeing Kev play on the Darrell at Berry Street, whatever the night, I think it was called Berry Street in North Sydney.
He also played the 729.
Oh, the old 729, Johnny Newman's.
Channel 2.
Yeah, Johnny Newman's 729. Yeah. Anyway, now's the time to ask anyone else who would like to say a few words to come up. Now, I do know Tim Kelly, who's in the room. It's going to take me 10 hours to get here because he's on
10 hours.
Oh no, Swift.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Crutch. A couple of operations on my back and another one on Friday, but I'm going to be great. My time with Kevin dates back to Bernard King, and I knew Bernard in my late teens. We were great mates. I drove him around Sydney to various venues and so forth, and Kevin was always there for a bit of entertainment. Not to swear too greatly, but Kevin announced to Bernard one day that we were going to Westfield Parramatta Kevin was going to do a show, and Bernard was going to do some food. And Bernard said to the audience in Westfield Parramatta, "Welcome to Westfield Para doesn't fucking matter." And amazingly, everyone laughed. No one had a problem with it. It was Kevin's idea. Bernard went with it, and it was bloody sensational. We had a great friendship over the years, Kevin and I. And what I loved greatly about Kevin was he was an extraordinary expert on everything. And I'm quite a...
Just asking you would have told you.
I'm quite a prolific poster on Facebook. If there's an earthquake somewhere, or if there's a problem happening around the world, or political decisions, as Steve just said. Kevin knew everything about everything. And if any of my friends wanted to contribute to my post or conversation, Kevin would become all of a sudden the expert on the subject. And I have friends who had studied political science, but Kevin was the scientist. And all of a sudden, he knew everything and my friends knew nothing. And the problems that caused, I never interfered with, were absolutely sensational to listen to. And it was an absolute joy. And I think that shows the actor in Kevin. He was obviously clearly a sensational entertainer. He had a wonderful voice, we all know that, but he was an entertainer, and I think in a lot of ways similar to Bernard, in that lovely picture there of Bernard just having his cigarette, although Kevin wasn't a smoker. Kevin drew a lot from Bernard, and really enjoyed that lovely ability to engage with everyone. And they were very, very close. And it's that side of Kevin that I miss. It's that entertaining story. It's knowing people from around the world. There might have been a few stories that might have been a few, is that true or whatever, but who cares? Who cares? It was a lovely, lovely way to listen to a person who could tell a yarn, tell a story, and that's a forgotten talent these days. And Kevin had that talent, and he's in my memories very, very much. And it's a hard thing to say. I look forward to seeing him one day, and I'm sure that'll happen.
Hope it's not too hot for you.
Bloody hell. Nice one, Paul. That's what
Thank you, Tim. Tony, would you like to say a few words? Yeah? This is Tony Brewery.
Good evening, everybody. To know Kevin was no life. There was nothing he could do, that there was nothing that he hadn't achieved, there was everything that he did. I want to talk about the different sides of Kevin. I met Kevin during the Bernard years, and we knew each other, we did things together, and all those sorts of fabulous things happened, and it was all fabulous down going, blah, blah, blah. But my relationship with Kevin became quite close. And particularly in more recent years, I would talk to Kevin and say, my dear friend, I cherish our conversations. That was the friend he became to me. Rather than sit here and talk about all the wonderful stories about Kevin, which there are many, and we've heard so many, and he was certainly a character. And the amount of times he came to my home, he tuned my piano. So when we had a party, he could play it, other people would play it. And I remember the last time we had a party, he said, I can't play the piano. I said, yes, you can. He played the piano and he sang that last time, but my greatest memories of Kevin, just Tony, my dear friend. I enjoy our conversations. I think that's what I really want to say the most. And he was a very, very special man. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to step up and say a few words? You and your drink. Okay, as Kev once sung, if a picture paints 1,000 words, he sang that a hell of a lot. But my favourite song is actually Big Bad Bruce. I don't know if anyone ever heard that. He did some Big Bad Bruce, which was a parody of like a lumberjack kind of guy. Anyway, that's another story. As I said, if a picture paints 1,000 words, let's let some pictures do the talking, all set to a Kevin Somerville soundtrack. And by the way, as Monty Python once said, this music's available in the foyer as you leave. Over here on the right is both vinyl and CD versions of Kev's albums. Please feel free to take one with you. Take a little bit of Kev away with you. Just bear with me while I redistribute some technology here. And by the way, please be gracious. A lot of these photographs were not made to be blown up 1,000%.
You're going to turn the TV on.
Yep. The TV's gone to sleep.
Ah. Well, stop it. I'll get the remote.
Sorry, it's me back again. I needed to add something else, which was a weird coincidence with the Kevin Somerville story.
Sorry.
Many years ago,
Just grabbing the remote if that's okay.
as in like 50 years ago, Kevin's mum and my mum used to work together in a factory at Brookvale in New South Wales. I can't remember what it was, something to do with glass and lighting or something. But yes, they actually knew each other from like 50, 60 years ago, and 20 years after that, that's when Kevin and I met. And, oh, I'm sorry, I had that in because I just remembered it.
Is there anything
Well,
else?
that's what a brother does.
I'll think of other things and I'll come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this presentation. As I said, it's set to the soundtrack of Kevin's music. The CDs are here. Please do grab one or seven as you leave. The vinyl is there, collector's items.
It was the #1 record in America at some stage in the contemporary charts.
Yeah.
All roads.
Sorry.
that's an outflight.
There's only like 3 pictures left, and he never did a song that was like 20 seconds. So I'm trying to stretch these pictures. It's probably a good time to make sure you put a glass in your hands and the propose a taste.
Spent 2 years with it. No. Good? Good? Yeah. Thank you very much. There are several options. No, all good. You're right, mate. I'll jump out.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and Robin.
Oi!
You know, there's something that's not said often because it's a giving sensitive, but you only have one proper chance to say goodbye. So how about we do it raucously? Raise a glass to our friend, Kev. Yeah. Now, we still do have quite a bit of time in this room, so please, there's a lot of food here, and the bar serves as well. Talk to each other. Get to know why you knew Kev. Get to know why we knew Kev. Get to know Deb, who's sitting over here, his sister, and Gary, her husband, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you all for being here.
Well done, Steve. Thank you very much.